He seemed friendly enough, the kind of stranger you don't think twice about. But if Primera Dinati trusted that smile, I probably wouldn't be alive to tell this story. If you enjoy true horror stories like this one, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, leave a like, and stay until the end, because the ending will absolutely shock you. It happened 2 years ago, when I was working late shifts at a small grocery store on the outskirts of town. We closed at midnight, and by the time I finished cleaning and counted the register, it was often close to 1 in the morning. The parking lot was almost always empty by then, quiet except for the hum of a flickering streetlight that never seemed to stay fully lit. That night, I was the last one out. My coworker, Mia, had left around 11, and my manager had gone home early because of a family emergency. It was just me, the crickets, and that buzzing light. I walked toward my old Honda Civic, fumbling with my keys. That's when I noticed a man standing near the far end of the parking lot just outside the light's reach. He wasn't moving, just standing there. At first, I thought maybe he was waiting for someone or smoking a cigarette, but there was no smoke, no movement, no glow from a phone. He was facing me, motionless, his silhouette sharp against the dim light. I tried to ignore it, unlocking my car and sliding inside as fast as I could. The moment I shut the door, the sound of my own breathing filled the car. I started the engine and looked through the windshield. He was gone. That should have been a relief, but somehow it wasn't. I reversed out of the parking space, scanning the lot. Empty. The man had disappeared, like he'd never been there. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe he'd just walked home. Or maybe he wasn't even looking at me in the first place. The drive home was short, about 15 minutes. My apartment complex was small, tucked behind a line of trees. I parked, grabbed my bag, and hurried up the stairs to my unit. Just as I put the key in the lock, I heard something. Footsteps. Soft, uneven, slow, coming up the stairs behind me. I froze. My heart started pounding. I turned around, but no one was there. The hallway was empty, the dim yellow light buzzing faintly above the stairwell. I got inside fast, locked the door, and leaned against it for a second, trying to catch my breath. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept replaying the image of that man in the parking lot. His stillness, the way he seemed to be watching me. The next evening, I worked the same late shift again. It was uneventful until I stepped outside to leave. There he was. Same spot, same posture, standing in the shadows, not moving an inch. This time I didn't hesitate. I got in my car and locked the doors immediately. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the keys twice before starting the engine. When I looked up again, he had taken a step forward. I could see his face now, or a part of Italiano. He was tall, pale, with short dark hair. His eyes, I swear, they were fixed on me, wide open, unblinking. Tennis smiled. Not a normal smile. It was too slow, too deliberate, like he was trying to remember how people do it. I backed out fast, almost hitting the curb as I sped out of the parking lot. That night, I didn't go home right away. I drove to a 24-hour diner and stayed there for almost 2 hours, pretending to scroll on my phone while I tried to calm down. When I finally did drive home, the parking lot was empty. I felt stupid, like I'd let my imagination run wild. But the next morning changed everything. As I was leaving for work, I noticed something on my windshield. A folded piece of paper. Primera unfolded it and my blood ran cold. It was a note. Scrawled in shaky handwriting were the words, "You drive the blue Civic. You look pretty when you're scared." I dropped the note immediately and looked around, but there was no one nearby. I went straight to the police station and reported it. They took my statement, but without a name or security footage, there wasn't much they could do. They told me to be careful, to change my routine, maybe even stay with a friend for a while. So I did. I called my brother, who lived across town, and asked if I could crash at his place. He didn't ask questions, just said yes. For a few days, things were quiet. I still had to work. But I made sure someone walked me out each night. The man didn't show up again. I started to believe maybe it was over. Then, on the 5th night, I got a call from my landlord. He said there had been a break-in at my apartment. When I got there, police cars were parked outside. The door had been forced open, the frames splintered. Inside, drawers were pulled out, clothes thrown everywhere. But nothing valuable was missing. Not my laptop, not my TV, not even my wallet. Then one of the officers came up to me, holding a small item in an evidence bag. A photograph. It was a picture of me taken from outside my bedroom window, and on the back, in the same shaky handwriting as the note, were the words, "You shouldn't have left." Sometimes, evil doesn't knock on your door, you invite it in yourself. I learned that the night I bought a used couch from a stranger on Craigslist. It started as a normal Saturday afternoon. I had just moved into my first apartment, a cheap one-bedroom with peeling paint and a leaky faucet. But it was mine. I didn't have much furniture yet, just a mattress on the floor, a rickety table, and a folding chair. So I decided to browse Craigslist for something cheap to fill the place up. That's when I found it. A dark gray sectional couch, clean, modern, and only $80. The ad said, "Moving out soon. Need gone tonight." There was one photo taken in what looked like a basement, but the couch seemed to be in great condition. I texted the seller. His name was Dean. He replied almost instantly, "Still available? Can you pick up tonight?" He sent me the address, a house on the edge of town, near the industrial park, a bit out of the way, but not suspicious enough to stop me. When I got there, the house looked half abandoned. No lights in the windows, just the dim orange glow from the street lamp nearby. I hesitated for a second, but I really wanted that couch, and I figured maybe the guy just hadn't moved everything out yet. I rang the bell. The door opened after a few seconds, and a tall man in his late 30s stood there. He was pale, with sunken eyes and greasy blonde hair. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You must be here for the couch," he said, his voice low and flat. He led me through the narrow hallway to the basement. The smell hit me first, a mix of damp concrete and something else, something metallic and sour. The couch was there, under a single hanging bulb. It looked fine, a little dusty, but comfortable. $80, right? I asked, pulling out my wallet. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, you can help me carry it to your truck." There was something off about the way he said help me. Like it wasn't a suggestion. Still, I followed him. We each grabbed an end and started up the stairs. The thing was heavier than it looked. Halfway up, my phone buzzed in my pocket. "Go ahead," Dean said. I'll hold it. I set my side down on a step and pulled out my phone. It was my friend Ashley texting. "You sure you don't want me to come with you? Buying from Craigslist at night is sketchy lo—" I smiled faintly. "I'll be fine," I muttered, typing back, "It's all good. Almost done." When I looked up, Dean wasn't there. I called out. No answer. The couch sat halfway up the stairs, too heavy to move alone. I leaned forward, listening. The basement was silent, except for the hum of the light bulb above. 10 Primera ARD. It a faint sound, like a muffled cry, coming from somewhere behind the couch. My skin crawled. I slowly crouched down and peered underneath the furniture. The space was dark, but I could make out something. A corner of a plastic bag, tied shut. It was stained. "Dean," I called again, my voice trembling. No response. Then came the creak of the basement door, closing. Click, he'd locked it. Panic surged through me. I bolted up the stairs and grabbed the handle. It wouldn't budge. "Hey!" I yelled, slamming my shoulder against the door. "Let me out!" Silenced, then, faintly, his voice from the other side. "Come. You shouldn't have come alone." I backed away, my heart racing so hard I thought I might pass out. I scanned the basement, desperate. There was a small window near the ceiling, maybe big enough to crawl through. I dragged a crate over, climbed up, and shoved at the window. It didn't move. It was screwed shut from the outside. That's when I heard footsteps. Slow. Coming down the stairs. I turned and saw Dean holding something long and thin. A crowbar. "Please," I said, hands trembling. "I'll leave. I won't tell anyone." He smiled, that same dead-eyed smile. "Oh, I know you won't." He stepped closer, the metals scraping against the wall. I grabbed the first thing I could, a small metal lamp, and hurled it at him. It hit his shoulder, enough to make him stumble. I ran past him, down the stairs, toward the far corner of the basement. There was a small door, maybe a storage room. I yanked it open and slipped inside, closing it quietly behind me. The room was pitch black. I pressed my ear to the door, trying to hear him. His footsteps echoed, slow and deliberate, then they stopped. "Do you know what's inside that couch?" A sad, softly voice, muffled by the door. She thought she could leave too. My heart froze. Something inside the room shifted, a faint thud. Then a wheeze like air escaping a bag. I turned around. In the darkness, something was there. Something lying on the floor. I fumbled for my phone, turned on the flashlight, and nearly screamed. It was a woman, or what was left of one, wrapped in plastic, eyes wide open, mouth frozen mid-scream. I dropped the phone. The light flickered across the walls, stains, handprints, scratches. The door suddenly rattled. He was trying to open it. I pressed against it with all my weight. "Help. Somebody help," I screamed. He hit the door again. Harder this time. The wood cracked. In that split second, I made a decision. I grabbed my phone, ran to the far wall, and smashed the small basement window with the lamp. The glass shattered. I didn't even think, I just climbed, squeezing through the jagged frame, feeling it tear at my clothes and skin. I fell onto the cold ground outside, scraped and bleeding. I ran to my car, jumped in, and floated. I didn't stop until I reached the gas station 3 miles away. The attendant called the police. When they arrived at Dean's house, they found 2 bodies. Both women, hidden inside the couch. One of them had gone missing 6 months earlier. Dean was gone. They never caught him. He looked harmless, standing by the road, tired, cold, just needing a ride. But I learned too late that sometimes picking up the wrong stranger means picking your own ending. It was last winter, somewhere between Nevada and Utah. I was driving home through a snowstorm, the highway nearly empty. Then I saw him, a man in a heavy coat standing beside a dead car, holding a cardboard sign that said simply, "Help." Normally, I'd never stop. But guilt got the better of me. It was freezing, and he looked desperate. I rolled down the window. "You okay?" "Car died," he said. "Been stuck here for hours. Can you drop me at the next town?" It looked rogue, unshaven. Tired eyes, but not dangerous. I let him in. "Thanks," he said quietly. "Name's Travis." We drove in silence. The only sounds were the heater's hum and the tires on snow. But something felt off. He kept glancing at the glove compartment and fidgeting with his hands. Trying to be polite, I asked, "What happened to your car?" "Fuel line burst," he muttered. Then, after a pause, "Wasn't supposed to happen." His tone made my stomach twist. The wind howled outside, shaking the car. I noticed his hands, red, cracked, no gloves. But he didn't seem to feel the cold. "You sure you're all right?" I asked. He looked at me, his face blank but his eyes empty. "I will be," he said softly. Tinez smiled. Something about that smile froze me more than the storm. After a few miles, I saw a dark stain on his sleeve, dried blood. My hands tightened on the wheel. "So, where are you headed?" I asked. He chuckled quietly. "Doesn't really matter now." His tone was mocking. We passed a sign. "Wells minus 10 miles. I focused on it like it was salvation. Then he said, "You ever pick up a hitchhiker before, Mark?" I blinked. "How'd you know my name?" He smiled wider. You introduced yourself earlier. Guess you forgot. I hadn't. I forced a laugh. No, never picked one up before. Most people don't, he said. Too scared. Guess you're one of the good ones. He paused. That's what she said too. My blood ran cold. Who? The woman who stopped before you. Silence filled the car. My chest tightened. What? What happened to her? He smiled faintly. You'll see. He reached into his coat. Primera brasied myself, but instead of a weapon, he pulled out a silver locket. He turned it in his hand, whispering. She gave me this. Said I looked like her brother. I just kept driving, heart pounding. His voice dropped lower. She was kind. Like you. Kind people always stop. That was it. I slammed the brakes, the car skidding on the snow. Get out, I said. He tilted his head, amused. You sure? I reached for the glove compartment, but he grabbed my wrist, his grip vice-like. I think I'll stay, he whispered. I jerked free and shoved him hard. He fell out into the snow, shouting something I couldn't hear as I floored the gas and tore down the highway, barely able to breathe. At the next gas station, I called the police. A patrol car was sent immediately. When they came back, one of the officers looked at me strangely. You said his name was Travis. Yeah, about 6 feet, dark hair, brown coat. He exchanged a look with his partner. That car you described. Sighed, slowly. It's been abandoned for over a week, but there was blood in the front seat. A lot of Italiano. My stomach dropped. He handed me something sealed in a plastic bag. A small, silver locket. Inside was a photo of a smiling young woman. She went missing 3 days ago, the officer said quietly. Her name was Laura. They never found the man. And sometimes, when I drive that same stretch of highway at night, I swear I still see him standing there, coat flapping in the wind, holding that same cardboard sign that says help. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Which of these stories terrified you the most? Tell me in the comments below. And if you want more true horror stories, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a like, so you never miss another chilling tale.